Hey everyone, welcome to the Captain Drone YouTube channel. My name is Steve, and this is episode 13 of FPV for Beginners. This episode is going to apply to you because it's all about adding an FPV camera to a product you already own, such as an RC boat, an RC car or truck, an RC tank, an RC chopper, helicopter, an RC plane, a drone, like a camera drone, and finally an FPV drone. Now, since this is a beginner video, I should explain what FPV is. FPV just means first person view. It's all about placing a camera in the position of the driver of a vehicle or the pilot of a plane or any flying device. And then with that camera, you put on a set of goggles and you see the image coming out of that camera in your goggles so that when you drive the vehicle or fly the vehicle, it's as if you are the pilot. Now, the greatest FPV hobby on the planet is the FPV drone hobby, because when you fly an FPV drone, there are no restrictions. You can flip it, roll it, go through things, anything you want to do. It's like a bird. But the FPV hobby exists everywhere else, but it's up to the hobbyist to turn it into the FPV hobby. Let me explain. So as we've already established, this is referred to as an FPV drone. So if I took the camera out of this FPV drone, as well as the video transmission system back here with the antenna, and I stuck it on my RC truck, well, my RC truck is not called an FPV drone, it's called an FPV RC truck. And if I stuck that same camera system on my helicopter would then be called my FPV RC helicopter. So this video is going to be all about placing a camera on whatever RC product you own and then driving or flying it with goggles on. And the reason I'm making this video is because every time I make a video where I use a product, it could be an RC car or an RC plane or an RC helicopter, and I have FPV goggles on flying around or driving around, there's always people who text me or email me or comment below the video, and they are confused on how I got a camera to work on the system because they don't understand how the whole camera, video transmitter, battery power system all works together. So I'm going to show you in this video so you can do it yourself. So let me explain the fundamentals of FPV. So this is an RC plane. You can buy it. It's by FMS. It's called the Flash. I did a video on it very recently. So let me yank this off and show you how I did it. Let's start from the beginning. So right up front, I have placed an FPV camera right there. Looking at the back of the unit, this silver thing right here is the whole video transmission system and decoding system. It takes the signal from the camera, which is over here, and it translates it into a video signal. And it shoots that video signal out this antenna so that I can receive it in my goggles. Now, this whole unit requires power to work, and you have a choice. You can get the power from the battery you stuck in the RC plane or in your RC truck or your RC helicopter, or you can put your own battery. So in my case, I always put my own battery so that I'm not sucking power out of another battery. So on the very back, I have a 2S battery to power the entire unit. So hopefully that makes sense, but I'm sure to a lot of people, it probably doesn't make sense. So I'm going to yank everything out. So I'm going to show you, like really show you. There you go. Here's the canopy. Toss it aside. I've got the whole video unit here. So there we go. You see the camera? I have double-sided taped it to the top of that silver VTX unit. That's why it sits like that. You don't have to do that. You can have the camera separate depending on how much cable comes out of the back of the camera. Back here all the way to the unit. Mine's very short. Secondly, in order to send that signal quite a distance, this unit will send out the signal about 4 kilometers, maybe 2.5 miles. So it needs an antenna, and there's the antenna right there. And that is plugged into the back of the unit right here. Wherever my finger's pointing, that's where it's plugged in. Hopefully you can see that. And then to power the unit, you're going to have to take a soldering iron and solder on a positive and negative wire. So looking at the back of the unit, I have a black and red wire coming out, and I have soldered those two wires onto the back of the unit. How did I know where to solder them? Well, it's pretty simple. One said plus and the other one said minus, so plus and minus. So that red and black wire is attached to a JST battery connector, because on this battery here, which is a 2S battery that I bought off Amazon, it has a JST connector on it. So when you plug the two together, that's it. Then you have power. As soon as you plug this in, it's shooting out the power back to your goggles. Now, if I didn't want to add a battery and I just wanted to run this using the battery in my RC car, RC boat, RC plane, RC helicopter, it's very simple. All you do is get yourself one of these off of Amazon. So you can see on one end, I have a JST connector, but on the other end, I got to flip it around here so you can see it. It's white. And it's kind of hard doing this backwards. And what it is a balance cable. So on every battery, you're going to have a balance lead, and you just plug this in. So let me explain. Let me find a battery. So say this battery was powering my RC truck, RC helicopter, RC plane, whatever. So I don't want to use this lead because this lead is plugged into my RC helicopter, RC plane, RC boat, RC truck, anything. So here's this little balance lead, which is on every battery. You take that and it plugs right in. Boink. Now the power from this battery is going all the way out this little connector. And when I plug this connector into here in my FPV system, I have power. So you see in the RC hobby, there's lots of products out there that have a special spot on them to place an FPV camera, and others don't, but it doesn't matter. You just place that FPV camera any place you desire, usually someplace close to the front so you can see where you're going or what you're doing and everything else. And even some of the items that are designed for an FPV camera, like this Zod airplane, you can still buy this. I think you can buy this model. Anyways, I've had this for a while. It's pretty cool because it's designed. I can stick a GPS up here if I want, so it flies itself. Put an FPV camera in the front, and I think I have one in there. Yeah, I've got a Runcam FPV camera up front. But over here, this big hole over here, that's to put any sort of action camera. So you can put a GoPro or anything like that. So you can have FPV plus a GoPro plus a GPS. You can do an awful lot. Now, so far, everything I just showed you right there is all digital, and that's because digital is the way to go in FPV. It's a very clear 720p view all the way up to 1080 view in your goggles, which is really good. Very clear. But if you don't have a lot of money, go analog, because analog is super inexpensive. Inexpensive? How inexpensive are we talking here? Well, to answer that question, I have to put everything into perspective, so I'm going to show you the least expensive video system you can get all the way to the most expensive video system you can get. Currently, as of the making of this video, we have 4 different types of video FPV systems in the RC hobby. You have analog, and then you have 3 types of digital. And since pretty much none of them play nice together, you have to pick one. This means that if you invest in analog FPV goggles, well then the only cameras and video transmitter that's going to work with those goggles would also have to be analog. The same is true for HD0. If you buy yourself some HD0 FPV goggles, well then your video transmitter and camera has to be HD0. Walksnail is becoming a very popular digital HD system because the image is very clear and the range is good. However, if you buy those Walksnail FPV goggles, well then you need the Walksnail camera and video transmitter. Which brings us to DJI. Now everybody in the RC hobby knows that DJI only plays nice with DJI. So yeah, if you get the goggles, you gotta get the video camera and transmitter that is DJI compatible. So if you have nothing in the FPV hobby already, I would say go on a used website, like I don't know, eBay or whatever your local used website is, and look for DJI goggles. Where are they? DJI goggles version 1. These should be dirt cheap because DJI doesn't make them anymore. A lot of people who had them no longer use them, so they sell them, and they sell them very inexpensively, and they're digital. One more thing, if you want to do exactly what I'm showing you with the DJI 03 system, be very, very scared, because this camera system, which is in all the new FPV drones and this module in the back, you can certainly power it and stick it in any unit. However, it sits in idle mode. It does not go into max output unless there's an arm signal sent to it. You know, when you arm a drone and the motor starts spinning? If it doesn't get an arm signal, you can't change the output power, which is unfortunate. I haven't figured it out, but some people have, and you might want to go check out their videos. So the next thing I want to talk about really quick is head tracking. So head tracking is the following in FPV. It's usually on planes. I don't see people use it on too many other things, but on planes it's good. So you see my little pilot up here? There's a pilot right there. Pull the pilot out and you could stick a camera in there. There's lots of people who do it. And when you're flying, if you turn your head with your goggles on and look to the right, while the little pilot looks to the right, so your camera's looking over your right wing or your left wing or to the front, or if you want, you can have it set so it looks up too. You can look up at the clouds, look forward, look down, look all over the place. That's head tracking. So in order for head tracking to work, the head tracking module has to be in the FPV goggles. So in the olden days, I think these ones, no, I don't have it. So over here on the Fat Sharks, I did have a set that had head tracking in before. There's a little gyro module that goes in, so it means if I look up, whatever's on the other end, the camera will look up, look to the left, look to the right. And then DJI as well, for the Avata, stuck it in their Goggles Integra as well as the Goggles 2, so that if you're flying the Avata using the motion controller, then you can look up and down and side to side. I think it only works with the motion controller. But since I'm a caveman nowadays, I don't use that. But I do use a type of head tracking. Let me show you. I'm going to go on Banggood and just show you one here. You can buy a head tracking unit. While it's not the unit, it's the unit you stick on your plane or your tank or your car or whatever. So this is it right here. Check out my screen. Costs $16 US. It does not come with a camera. It does not come with all the video transmission system or the antennas. It comes in a 1-axis or 2-axis. So 1-axis means you can pan. I look that way, look forward, look that way. A 2-axis means I can pan and then also look up and down. So you can see I'm scrolling down, and people have done video reviews on it here. So with a unit like that, I just hook it up to my radio. So when I'm flying a plane, that's the only thing I'd use it on a plane. If I want to look left, center, or right, I would just put it on a 3-way switch. And while I'm flying, I just flick the switch and I can look in all those directions. So it's pretty simple. So it's a pretty good deal since you get the unit plus the servos, and you just put your own camera module in it and stick it on whatever you want. And if you're in the RC plane hobby, you know then you would take the cable out of that thing and put it into your receiver, so you assign it to your 3-way switch. All right, so I do not want to go any further into any more detail because I will confuse all the people remaining that I have not confused so far. This video was simply made to show you that it's so easy to add an FPV camera to anything in the RC hobby. You just stick the camera on and you're going and you're having fun with your goggles. Of course, you have to invest in the goggles. And now we've come to the point of the video where I'm going to ask a favor of everybody watching this video. Well, I'm asking a favor of those who are very experienced on placing an FPV camera on some RC product that they're already doing now or have done in the past. What I'd like you to do is write a comment below this video, say exactly what you're using or what you've used, and then put a link to the gear you used. That way people can read what you wrote and go click on the link and see if it's for them based on the price. And with that said, I say thanks for watching episode 13 of this FPV for Beginners series. I will catch you in another video, well, when episode 14 comes out, whenever that is. Until then, I say thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up, and bye.